Hey. 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 Hi. I wonder, how many of y'all have ever found yourself in a situation where you felt like you were battling, you were fighting. You're fighting with somebody, another person, another being, where y'all two are just going at it. Y'all was going at it so much that when y'all finally got out of it, you looked over and you saw what it is that you're fighting about and realized it's not there anymore. My name is Mark Anthony DeBose Jr., and I was born July 4th of 1986. And today, I want to talk about an interesting word. A word that I feel like I see a lot of these animals out here doing, and it's not just these animals, people. I see it in people. The same thing that happens with what these animals do. It's just a very interesting phenomenon that I really do just pay attention to. The more and more I study these animals and pay attention to them to see that they just do the same stuff that we do as people out here, what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis. And the word I want to talk about is quarrel and quarreling. Very interesting word because it comes down to an altercation, an argument, bickering, brawl, controversy, difference, discord, dispute, detention, disturbance, falling out, feud, fracas, misunderstanding, a run-in, a spat, a squabble, a strife. All of that right there is some very interesting words that all basically mean the same thing, where you're just having a interesting battle with somebody, and you guys are just fighting. And usually it's fighting and you kind of already like each other. You already know each other. You're already all about each other. But for some reason, you want to just fight over something of the same thing. So something that I just noticed that goes on with some of these animals is they like to fight over food. When they have a food source, and water, they have a food or a water source, they just have this feeling inside of them like, I know you, I know we hang out together, I know we're brother, sister, I know that we're part of the same family, I know we're part of the same flock, part of the same clan, part of the same herd, but for some reason, right here, right now, I want to fight about this. And what it is I want to fight about, we want to fight about it because I want it. But you all know what always happens when these guys are fighting and doing what they're doing, that they're constantly in that battle. But there's a power that's, say, more powerful than them. There's always a ranking order of things that go on. Everywhere I've noticed this, that there's always someone that's just in charge that you just don't mess with. You don't mess with that one. There's a specific one that's just leave it alone. Don't do anything to it. And it's its own being, it's its own essence, and it's in control. And that one that's in control is always eating. It's always drinking. So when you put the resource out that people say they want to fight about and fight over, that one is always getting it. It's always eating, it's always drinking, it's always getting the snacks, it's always getting the pleasures, it's always getting the freedom, it's always getting the fun, it's always getting what it requires and what it needs and what it wants at the same time. It always gets what it wants. But then there's the two that are, say, the ranking below, the number 2 and number 3 man, the number 5, number 6, and 7, number 8 person that want to start fighting over. Basically, usually it's the 1 and 2 that are just fighting to try to, not even compete to be the one, not even to be the main show, but just fighting to figure out who's going to be number 2 because they already know who the main show is. You do not mess with the main overseer of what's going on out here. So the 2 are fighting for the 2nd place, and there's something very interesting I noticed with dogs, with chickens, with cows, with goats, with sheep, with everything that I pay attention to, and also when I see it when human beings do the same stuff, they act the same way. When the 2 and 3 start fighting, they start really battling. They start really getting it in. And the main thing that really happens to them is they start fighting so much that the main one, the one that nobody messes with, just eats it all, takes it all, runs away with all of it. And then when those 2 finally stop battling, those 2 finally snap out of it and they're like, okay, fine, you're number 2. They come back out of this and they shake hands and they say, I'm sorry's, and they say, oh, I still love you, I still respect you. And then they go back to look to see, all the food's gone. All the water's gone. All the whatever it is that we were fighting about is gone. That we were just sitting here fighting to be able to get to that. But yet, since we are fighting so much over here, we didn't get any. I wonder how many of y'all run into a situation with stuff like that goes on in your life, that you're fighting so much for something that just doesn't matter. And if you would just stop, if you would just relax, if you would just calm down, that you would realize that you would actually be able to get part of it. You would actually be a part of it. You would actually be able to get stuff done that it is that you wanted to get done. You would actually be able to eat and be a part of the experience that you want to be a part of. Instead of just fighting with someone who has no authority, who has no value interest in making sure that you are getting anywhere, you are doing any better, and that's why y'all is bickering, because you're not sure how to be able to get it, but yet you don't know how to get out of it because you just keep doing it. Why is it that we as people are just bickering and fighting and arguing with each other, when there's a main source out here that's just constantly going, constantly doing, constantly being, that is never touched, never messed with. And the more and more that we're bickering, the more and more that it just keeps growing and growing and growing and taking and consuming and just having all of it. And we're sitting here fighting. We're fighting as if there's not enough, but yet there's an overabundance. But if we're constantly fighting and just bickering with each other and having quarrels with each other, we're not able to actually be able to have any of what's going on out there because the big major one is just consuming it all. So imagine this. Imagine a situation like this, people. Imagine something that I was just thinking of today with looking at these chickens and then studying some dog behavior today that really got me kind of interested, excited in a way, but excited in a not so happy way, but excited in a man, this is very interesting. I feel like I see this every day with what it is that we do and what it is that goes on with us. But excited in a way that I was thinking about the concept of watching my main rooster, man. He's the man. He's gonna run a human being out here. He's gonna run a bull away. He's gonna run a hawk, an owl. He's powerful. He's very, very strong. He has a very sense of secureness in him that he knows who he is and what he's all about, and he's able to get. And I just was thinking like throwing little analogies out there, or I don't know another good term for that, but just throwing like that rooster man. He's like, say, the government, United States government. He's like just powerful. You don't mess with it. You don't attempt to try and destroy it. You just leave it alone. When it shows up and it knocks on your door, you just, what you need, what's going on. If you come in and try to take something from it, you just, hey, it's all good, man. Just, I got to give you your share. I got to make sure that you are always well fed. You are always good to go. Just imagine my rooster, man, being like the overseeing government that we have in the United States of America, being very, very powerful. Not in the sense that it's trying to be ruthless to us, because it's not. It's just doing what it's doing. It's not being mean. It's not coming out to put pressure on you just for no reason. If you try to pressure it, yeah, it's got to push some pushback to you. But it's not out here to try to destroy you. It's just doing what it's doing. It's its own system. It's its own being. It's its own essence. That's just doing what it's doing. And for us, we want to try and fight amongst each other. So then I saw that main rooster man is the government. And then I saw the other two as just the citizens of that's underneath that government, who's basically trying to say, I want to be the number two close to it. And the other one's like, no, I want to be number two that's close to it. Where in reality, nobody's going to be close to it because it is the most powerful thing. You are not going to test it. You are not going to attempt it. You are not going to change it. You are not going to sway it. You are not going to take it down. You are not going to do anything to it. It's there. It's in place. And the only time that it's going to ever be taken out is if the time comes, and just put it in animal census, the animal decides to pass away. But that's not in any time in your lifetime that's ever in reality going to happen. And if it does, it does. But if it doesn't, it's probably not going to happen. The chances that it happen is very slim. So the other two little guys and the little girls are out there fighting amongst each other on, I want to be able to get some that has. Well, that's just eating. He's eating. He's peaceful. He's calm. And then everyone else is just fighting. And then they're fighting so much that while the government is eating, doing what it's doing, everybody else is getting nothing. They're just fighting and fighting and fighting and just constantly battling and battling and battling to the point that they are just getting so mad at each other, even though they love each other, even though they respect each other, even though they care a lot for each other. But for some reason, when it comes to this one thing, they just want to fight and fight and fight. So they're just fighting. And you end up fighting so much that you get away from the whole concept, the whole idea, the whole realization of what it is that you were actually wanting. And when you finally stop that fight, when you finally shake hands and hug it out and tell you, I love you, I'm sorry, we'll get along next time, you look over and realize everything that you were fighting for is gone. It's been taken up. It's been consumed. It's no longer available for you to be able to even consider to even worry about. So yeah, the fight is going to instantly stop at that moment. But, Oreo, let's get down. The fight's only going to stop at the moment when it is that you two decide that you want to fight. Not because the government or the main overseer is saying to stop. Oreo, down. Get down. Not that is saying to stop, but you stop on your own. You stop in your own means. And once you stop in your own means, you come in to realize that there's nothing there. And then you realize that you messed up. And then you realize, I'll try again next time. But in reality, next time, what do? The same thing. You repeat this cycle over and over and over and over and over and over again because you're just not quite understanding that there is well than enough for everybody. But since we're not quite seeing that there is well enough for everybody, we're just leaving and having with none. And then there's only one essence and one being and one organization that seems to be getting it all. And then while you're not in the middle of, say, that feeding, that process of getting yours, getting your money, getting your business, getting your whatever, getting anything that you need. You run into the situation that now you think that because that's getting so big and so great and so awesome and it has it all, that you feel like there's some manipulation going on, that there's some like cheating going on, that there's something ruthless going on behind scenes on why that's still going. But it's going because there's no reason to fight against it. There's no reason to have any backlash against it. There's no reason to do anything negative towards it. It's going, it's doing what it's doing. But you guys and us guys and everyone else that's not it are fighting. And then the reason we stopped that fight is, again, because we stopped fighting, not because government tells us to. The government is just doing what it's doing. And the time that we decide, Oriel, let's get down. The time that we decide that we're going to stop fighting is when we're good to go. But then what we do is we like to fight against said government and say that they're the ones that are making us fight. They're the ones that are putting us in the battle. They're the ones that are making us have these disagreements. When I'm going to say, I don't think that that's true at all. I think it's just us as people wanting to be as powerful, wanting to be as glorious, wanting to be as great as that, start to fight on our own. And then when we get out of it, we get out of it in a way that we feel like we're being manipulated. We feel like we're being used. We feel like we're being taunted. And in reality, we're not. We're just taunting each other because we're trying to be that, even though we know that we can never be that. So I wonder, why is it that we're sitting here fighting and bickering with each other and arguing with each other with stuff that just has no meaning, just that's the best way to say it, is no meaning, no reasonings behind it on why the things that we want to fight with each other about are fighting with each other. Why the things that I just feel like I constantly see on the media that's being shoved to us that we're just constantly sitting here fighting and arguing about, where it's just stuff that's just, it doesn't matter on your actual true day-to-day business and your true day-to-day life of what it is that we really want to do and where it is that we really want to go and what it is that we really want to be able to experience, that we're just arguing and battling about it because we just feel like we want to be the one that has the, say, the last said thing, just that last word. We want to be like, finally just got it and I said what I said and now we're going to move forward. And then you said what you said and then you move forward and look like, man, they already decided. They already figured it out. They've already completed it. They're not even on that anymore. They're on something else now. And then you feel very, very irritated because you're just not, say, up with the times. You're not up with what's going on. You're not up with what's happening. You're always just behind because you're always behind in your fights. So something I feel like is something that we just really need to start to pay more attention to. Why is it that we as a people are fighting with each other? Fighting with each other for things that we actually want with each other, we care about with each other, but yet we want to seem to fight about it because we want it to say our one little way, as opposed to knowing that everybody is a very, very unique individual, a unique person. Where I'm going to say that, like, if you look at it in the sense of these animals, the bouses is very unique in a way that it's not changing. It's the same. It's always going to be the same. So stop trying to change it. So the government is the same. It's always going to be the same. So stop trying to change it. Stop trying to act like you're going to come in and start to influence it in some way and change how it's going and what it's all about and how they take their taxes and how they take their money and how they use their money and what they do with it. And stop thinking that you're going to change that. Start thinking about how you're going to change. Stop fighting with each other to figure out how it is that you're going to change that. That's something I feel like a lot of us just really get in a very, very, very confused state with. Where we want to change so much instead of just changing yourself and what it is that you do on your day-to-day business, that you think that you want to have such huge influence, and then you realize the more and more you fight, the more and more you don't have, the more and more you are without, the more and more you're not able to actually get anything done. The day that you decide to just go with it and have a good understanding that it's in place for a reason, that if it wasn't there for a reason, then we don't know what we'd be doing today. It would be completely lawless, completely savage, completely just wild. Wild West is what I guess it used to be, and that's what we would have today. And you should be extremely grateful for what it is that we have in place right now. And I say that because I know that, being a believer of God, that I have no choice but to know that God put that in place, that He's made that to be, that He's created that and is allowing that to be able to be there. So if you want to fight against it, if you want to battle against it, you're battling against God's will. You're battling against God's creation. You're battling against God's know-hows and understandings and knowing what it is that we need as a people to be able to have in place, to be able to make sure that we're good to go and able to make sure that we're safe and calm and able to do what it is that we need to do. It's a very interesting concept to me that I feel like, why are we always fighting with each other and not getting together with each other to figure out how to create and be able to have more, knowing that you're not going to overturn what's there already in place, but knowing that you're just going to work with it and have some assistance on knowing that it wants to work with you. It just doesn't know how to because you're constantly wanting to fight with it. And with that said, I want to say thank you and head on out of here because today It's been a very interesting day thinking about this and thinking about the whole concept of why we all have so much hate and bitterness and destructive thinking and tendencies behind us, with how we're always trying to just destroy everything around us instead of just like appreciate it and enjoy it and know that there's an abundance, that there's over more than enough for all of us to be able to have. And we don't need to fight against anything or anybody. We just need to work with them and work with it so that we can at least have some. Because some of nothing is nothing. You're not getting anything. But some of some, if they're not taking it all, but they're allowing a little bit, that if we stop the fighting and just get on board and have a little, like, take a little bit of what they're not constantly consuming, we can have a whole bunch, because they take a whole lot. They take it all in reality. And if we go ahead and just take the little bit that we should take, we would all be good to go on this planet. And it put a lot of thought in me, and I just want to say I'm very, very grateful to be able to have the opportunity to be able to be in the United States of America, to be able to live under this Constitution, to be able to see the changes that are going on, that maybe I don't agree with all of it, but that's not for me to, in reality, really care too much. That I need to have a good understanding of how to be able to work with it. That things changing, things are moving, things are cruising, that I need to also change, move, and cruise to be able to adapt to what it is that my surroundings are. Instead of thinking that I'm just some God that can recreate and make my own, that I need to understand that God did create that and put that there. And that put a lot in me today to just relax me a little bit and make me understand that this world is amazing. This world is awesome. And having the opportunity and the chance to be able to be in the United States of America is an absolute blessing, as opposed to anybody anywhere else that's in this world in reality. It's an absolute blessing to be here, to be able to do what it is that we have and be able to have what it is that we have, be able to have resources that we have that are free to us. It's an absolute amazing thing for us to be able to have. And I'm just extremely grateful for being able to be here. I'm extremely grateful to be able to make sure that I can do what it is that I need to do to make sure that other people are able to safely be around here and safely be able to have and safely be able to do. And I'm just so excited to be able to continue to let more and more people know. Stop fighting, stop bickering, stop arguing, and just understand that you're not going to be the ruler, you're not going to be the king, and just accept the fact that that's not, in reality, something that you probably would want. The more that you want to fight and bicker about it, that if you just go ahead and take what it is that you should be having and take what it is that's just there for you, you would have a very, very nice life. Thank you.